watching Numbskull News, and today we're in tinfoil hat season. Conspiracy theories all day long, baby. Consider this an old school gold and blue dude speculation zone type of video. Now, I'm talking about the merger, the coming merger of the Big 12 and the ACC. It's going to happen. It makes all the sense in the world. And I spent a little time thinking about it. And yes, 2031, the Big 12 come up for their next TV deal. Now, who's to say the two conferences who are then merged work together? All right, Amazon has not gotten into college football yet. Neither has Apple. And with those two conferences combined, that's 30 freaking teams. That's a hell of a lot of content that can be sold to multiple partners. Not just ESPN and not just Fox. Streaming is going to be big time. Big time. And with those two conferences put together, you bet your ass Brett Yormark can peel off basketball and sell that separately. Fox would then up their money quite a damn bit to get that kind of basketball package. Not to mention an ass ton of content for the ACC network. And an ass ton of football content, not just for ESPN, not just for Fox, but for Amazon, for Peacock, for whoever wants to pay for it. Because content is king, sons of bitches. People want in on this stuff. And there's not enough content in the SEC and the Big Ten to go around. These two conferences are not going to grow exponentially like everyone thinks they are. It's not happening. Could the Big Ten possibly get to 20 teams? Yeah, but that's where it's going to stop. Will the SEC get to 20 teams? I seriously doubt it. I kind of agree with Jim Williams, who's a former Fox executive, and he makes the rounds on different sites, different channels here on YouTube. And according to him, he doesn't see the SEC really, all that excited about expansion. If they can get the right schools with the right fit, maybe two more, maybe. And that's going to be it. The Big Ten will be due in 2030 to come up and re-up once again with their TV partners. And I don't see anything changing, not even by then, because keep in mind, they're going to be renegotiating this bitch somewhere around 2027, 2028. They're going to do it beforehand. And they're going to renegotiate it. Try to get a little more money. And right now, it's Fox, it's Peacock, it's NBC, and it's CBS. And I don't see those partners changing. The SEC won't be up until 2032. And like I said, there's only so much content to be had. ESPN is going to need, especially if the Big 12 and ACC combine, they're going to need that. But it doesn't mean that you can't parse that out and you can't sell it to not just ESPN and Fox, but also to other streamers. So it makes a lot of sense. And you can get enough money combined for everybody in that conference to be happy with what they're getting, which is going to be a hell of a lot more than the G5 conferences, which the Pac-12 will eventually kind of rebloom and be a conference yet again. It won't be an autonomous conference, and they won't be making the kind of money that you can make in the Big 12 or the ACC. A unique part of this coming merger, and like I said, I fully believe it's going to happen. It makes too much sense. But I do believe that this coming merger, you still will have the Big 12 and the ACC brands. All right, those two brands will be, at that point, merged. So when they work on TV deals, when they work on things, they're going to work together. It can get a little complicated. I don't think Jim Phillips, the ACC commissioner, I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I don't think he's done a bad job either, by the way. I know he's very well respected. Brett Yormark, of course, has done a phenomenal job with the Big 12. So combining the two efforts, like I said, after Florida State, after Clemson, and after probably a third team goes, Let's go ahead and call it UNC because everyone's calling it UNC. Everyone's saying they're going to the Big Ten. They're going to the SEC. I'll believe it when I see it. But just for argument's sake, I'm not going to argue the point. But if I'm right and that doesn't happen, trust me, I'm going to be on here dancing all over this freaking room and shitting on every Tar Heel fan that told me that they're going to go to the SEC or the Big Ten. Now, if they're right, I'll get on here and I'll lay it down. Hey, I screwed up again. I got it wrong again. I'm an idiot. Have no problem with that either. I've gotten plenty of things wrong. So that doesn't mean I can't come back on here and have some fun and prognosticate out my ass just like everybody else does. But yeah, I think the two brands will still exist. They'll just be contractually tied together as what a merger is. I think it'll be a unique type of merger though, because both sets will have their own TV deal. And I think there's other things they can share, other kind of revenues that they can share amongst themselves. But right now the money's pretty equal, and I think that'll stay the course. There's a possibility the ACC loses a lot of money once Florida State and Clemson and the third team is gone. But if you're adding all this Big 12 content, and you can smash that into the ACC network as well, you could add a lot of new customers, a lot of new subscribers to that network. And thus, you may not lose the money you think. You may not lose anything. Actually, you may gain. I mean, well, there are a lot of Big 12 fans. And by the way, that combined mega conference of the Big 12 and ACC, that's a true coast-to-coast conference. Every single time zone, all of them. They'll be the only conference that can say that. The Big 10, the SEC, two big monsters. They get more ratings than anybody. But this Big 12 ACC merged conference, that sucker has so much content that they can't be left out. You can't push it out. It's too much. Basically, what it does is it secures both conferences into the future. That's 30 teams that you can't leave behind. And congratulations to SMU, by the way, for paying their way into the ACC. They would then essentially pay their way into this big mega conference. Good job. And I got to say something else. They won the American. They beat Tulane. Holy crap. At the beginning of the season, I was like, hey, y'all keep talking shit. Let's see you win something. I'll be damned. They finally did it. Their last year in the American, they won the conference. I mean, I got to give it to them. So now I wouldn't feel so bad about SMU being part of this mega conference. I just wanted to throw that out there. But I came up with a little graphic just to kind of show you the enormity of what I'm talking about. So let's get to that. Well, like I said, the Big 12 and the ACC would continue to be brands, all right, that these two, like all these teams fall under. That's how they get paid. But this thing would be merged together, and you talk about a collection of freaking teams here. I mean, this is nice. And by the way, you still have Notre Dame. 5 games of Notre Dame. And they would probably not just play the ACC schools, but they would also come in and play Kansas, Kansas State, TCU, maybe West Virginia, Utah. Notre Dame is a key in this, and they're going to be in this until 2036, and they would probably re-up. That just helps all of this, and Notre Dame basketball in the most elite basketball mega conference ever. I mean, I don't know. This gets me damn excited just looking at this, y'all. That all of this content falls under. I mean, it's still two umbrellas, Big 12 and ACC, but one mega conference working together. That would be amazing. Freaking amazing. But I got a little more for you. With that many teams, you got to split it up. Regionality can happen under this big mega conference. It's coast to coast. Sure, it is. But this is how I would do it: West and East. That's the only way it really works. It makes sense, gives you some regionality. And I know the West Virginia fans over here, look at where I got you, Mountaineer fans. Right there with Virginia, Virginia Tech, Cincinnati, Duke, Pitt, NC State. I mean, it's all right there. Wake Forest, Georgia Tech. And I even threw Iowa State in there. And I don't give a damn if you have Farmageddon every year or not. All right, you could have Iowa State play Kansas State every damn year. I don't give a damn. That's not what this is about. This is about two different divisions and going at it. And yes, there's going to be interplay. But doing it like this will decrease the travel. You don't have to have Colorado every single solitary year going to UCF. The next year going to Miami, and next year going to Kansas State. You don't have to do that. Of the most extremes, you can do like a home and home. And trust me, the Stanfords and Cowles of the world are going to love this. Just based on their travel, they will absolutely love this because they're used to playing Utah every year. They're used to playing Arizona and Arizona State and Colorado every year. I don't think they'll have a problem playing BYU. All those are short trips. SMU, TCU. Sure, it's halfway across the country, but it's not like SMU now has to go to Pitt or has to go to Syracuse or the before mentioned Miami. Those are daunting trips all the way across the country. So this makes sense. Not saying that Cal and Stanford wouldn't go and travel all the way out east sometimes, of course, but that limits it. So instead of West Virginia let's take West Virginia for example, instead of having, whatever it is, 5 or 6 road games, the closest road game for them is like maybe Iowa State or Kansas State or somewhere in Texas. Every other week they're going halfway across the country. Or now they're going to have to go to Utah, or they're going to have to go to Phoenix. That's a hell of a road trip. But now instead of it being every other week, you're going halfway or more across the country. It's once or twice a year for West Virginia. It's once or twice a year for all of these teams for the most crazy, insane travel. This conference would be a freaking monster. And I know there's no Alabamas. There's no Oklahomas or Texases. There's no Tennessees. There's no Georgias. There's no Michigans or Ohio States. But there's some damn good brands and valuable brands in here. There's teams that can make the playoffs and can win playoff games. This is a conference that can make plenty of money and generate plenty of money and interest. This mega conference is the future. So get used to this look, folks. This makes all the sense in the world. And damn it, I want it to happen tomorrow. This is cool as shit. And the basketball. Woo! The basketball. You want to talk about a conference tournament that's damn near as popular as the NCAA tournament? That would be this conference tournament. And by the way, you can add a Gonzaga. You can add a UConn basketball only. You damn sure can to this mix. 30 football teams plus their badass basketball. However, you could still add basketball onlys and really ramp this son of a bitch up. The Michigans and the Ohio States and the Alabamas are going to be playing soft ass schedules. Nothing. This is the powerhouse in basketball right here. This would be the future of basketball. You may have other big brands and other big conferences that may decide to split off their basketball from their conference and come to this one day. I'm not saying anytime soon, but if you're making that much more money in basketball, more than the SEC teams do in basketball, more than the Big Ten teams do in basketball, and it's not close, why not get your basketball team the hell out of that conference and into this one? I'm not saying that would be anytime soon. All I'm saying, that's something that can happen 10, 12, 15 years down the road, possibly. If something like this happens, oh yeah. Oh yeah. But even football, even though this monster conference isn't the Big Ten or the SEC, it still can't generate what those two conferences can generate. But this son of a bitch right here, I mean, it'd be some of the most exciting football out there. Period. End of story. This conference is wide open. If Stanford decides to spend money on football, they can compete. So can Cal. Now, that probably won't happen, but I'm just seeing, Colorado is investing heavily again into their football, into their basketball. And did they have a good year? No. But they did better than 1-11. And that sucker is pointing in the right direction because they are investing in their sports again. They realize the importance of it. So to me, any team in here, Wake Forest has had good years. Georgia Tech has put together some decent teams at certain times. Virginia Tech can get back up on that mountain. If Colorado's on its way, Virginia Tech can definitely get it done. With the right coach and the right recruiting, any of these teams. I mean, look at what Arizona. Look at that turnaround. Arizona's been terrible my entire life. I'm 46 years old. I don't remember a time Arizona ever competed in football. And I'll be damned they were an exciting team this year. Coach Fish is for real. People were telling me. I just didn't know. I was like, okay, let me see it. And I saw it. I freaking saw it. But I can't wait for something like this to go down. Son of a bitch. Anyway, I wanted to give you a little visual aid and to see, and it doesn't take much to get really excited about the future of that type of merger. Holy shit. It wouldn't go anywhere, y'all. That sucker, you don't have to worry about that conference fading. 30 teams crushing your damn face. That's where it's at, folks. I know Miami's in there. Would we get Miami? I don't know. I didn't put UNC in. Just I didn't want to have the argument. I've had that argument a million times. It's getting old. But whether it's UNC, whether it's Miami, oh yeah, one of them. And I know everyone's talking Virginia. Well, Virginia's going to go with the Big Ten. Big Ten wants Virginia. That's number one on their list. Are they going to take Virginia Tech too? Because a lot of reports are coming out that they're tied at the hip. I know we heard that about Washington and Washington State. We heard that about Arizona and Arizona State. But what I'm hearing, it's a little different in Virginia. And by the way, once upon a time, it was like that in Texas. We had a governor, a Democrat governor, woman, by the name of Ann Richards. And when the Southwest Conference blew up, she made damn sure that Baylor wasn't left on the roadside like TCU was. Because the governor said so. They got included. That's the only reason That's the only reason. Politicians play a hefty role because they do a lot to control purse strings as far as state and federal dollars going into these schools, and most of these schools are state schools. Even the private schools still get some state and federal funding. Politicians can screw them three ways from Sunday. So if the politicians are dead eyeing Virginia, saying you ain't going nowhere without Virginia Tech, and if the Big Ten says we'll take Virginia, but we ain't taking Virginia Tech, well, guess what? Virginia's going to have to bow out of that, because when it comes to that kind of stuff in federal and state funding, that's more than your TV deal. It's because that money goes to every department. It's not just about paying your freaking football team or your women's softball team. Isn't that a freaking joke? Nothing against the ladies, but earn your own damn money. And that goes to the guys too. That goes to the guys too. I don't give a damn how far you can throw a javelin. You ain't worth $30,000 a year throwing a damn javelin. Kiss my ass. Anyway, that's all I got on this. I just wanted to share my excitement for the coming merger. I know it's just rumor. It's just MHVER3. It's a few other places. A little locked on Big 12 action going on. But yeah, I'm saying it's going to happen. I've been saying it for a long time. It's called the controlled demolition of the ACC. It's not going to get demolished. It's not going to get demolished. It's going to get merged. And I can't wait for it. It's going to be badass. Anyway, that's all I got. And I'll be back with some other crap some other time. Bye.